And just as much as it diffuses their nerves as it diffuses ours, it kind of has the same effect on you as a salesman. And I need that sometimes, no matter how much experience I have, those, like you said, those limiting beliefs can come in.
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can. We can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. Welcome to Doors to Deals. I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/025. Today we have negotiation expert Jeff Garner with us, and he's going to break down his offer system with homeowners. Jeff's a St. Louis investor, and he's been investing for a really long time, quite a bit longer actually than Ryan and I even have. And we're going to break down his step-by-step negotiation system in this training. So mastering negotiations, guys, is one of the most important things for you to get really good at. And there's a reason why we bring in multiple negotiation experts onto this podcast, right? Because it's so critically important. In this episode, we get to know Jeff, and we break down the process that he uses to get these deals under contract. I've been investing a really long time, and I remember I took a tremendous amount of notes on this episode and had some really good takeaways that we shared with our team and tried to begin implementing right away. So here we go, guys. Here is the interview. Why don't we give, for those of you that don't know Jeff, Jeff's a local investor here, and we've been friends for several years now. Jeff actually sold us a barn house like 10 years ago or so that he made out pretty well in the wholesale deal. We did not, but we didn't lose money either. So that was like the first deal I think we did like 10 plus years ago. So we go way back, and just been doing this a lot longer than Ryan and I have. And I was really, you did a high volume of direct mail for a while. So you were going on, what do you think, like 10 homeowner appointments a week for a couple of years, or 5 to 10 or?
Oh, easy. Yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
We were spending for a year solid. We sent 35,000 pieces a month, along with $10,000 PPC budget, SEO, the rest. So it took a staff of us to manage those calls and get out to all our appointments.
So what we're going to try and focus in on is just kind of like the negotiation and kind of like your homeowner techniques. If we can take a slight detour on it. So you were doing things at a high volume, and you kind of have shifted your business model from high volume to a little bit lower model. Kind of walk me through like that mindset shift, just quickly, so people can kind of hear that. I think it'd be valuable for them to hear that journey as well.
Well, it just became all about more quality of life, being more efficient, higher margin and less deals versus volume with a lesser margin. Because we would do, on a bad month, we'd do 6 to 8 deals. On a good month, we'd do 10, 12, bring in, 100 to 140 in revenue, but then there were done the months where you're only doing 6 and it's not a great month and you're bringing in 50 or 60. That all those numbers sound great, but when you're spending $60,000 a month before you can make $1, it just becomes stressful, and we're just crunching through data and people and appointments and really struggling to do a good job on follow-ups. And my strength is, what I do best is appointments and communication and taking care of people and really meeting with a homeowner, sitting at their table and writing deals. I was getting to the point where I couldn't even do that because I had to manage everyone and my team, and they were doing a great job. So the reason I dialed that back is because I knew that if I had more time, I only needed a third of the appointments to make the same money at the end of the day. So now I've been doing that now for a while, and it's basically coming true. When you cut, when you're spending 60,000 in salaries and marketing, you go down to 25, but you can bring in consistently 40 to 75,000 a month. Who needs to do 12 deals a month when you can do 2, 3, 4, 5, and make the same money, have a little more of your time back, spend your time on follow-ups, give better service to your sellers. I'm doing more referral deals because my sellers like me so much more because I'm actually able to spend the time with them, and it's not as near as stressful. So does that make sense? Yeah.
So one of the beauties with working from home and out of my garage is if Kelly has to go somewhere with the kid.
I love it.
So I was like, 1 second, because the garage door is literally opening.
Quarantine life, buddy.
So what's interesting is it's easy to fall into the trap, guys. And one of the reasons I want to bring this up is at the end of the day, net profit's what matters. And it's easy to fall in the trap of kind of like the grass is always greener. And especially when you're newer starting out and you look at like a Jeff Gardner and you're like, oh my God, that guy did 100 deals, or you look at like a Dave Dodge, you name it. And the end goal is the net profit. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you design your business, more isn't always better. It's okay. What's the net profit? What's the lifestyle you want? And in this case, Jeff's kind of been there and done that on the volume game and decided he wanted to come back down a little bit. So that's an interesting thing for, just to kind of open your guys' minds to, that I wanted to kind of start out. So let's go. So what you do best is kind of the homeowner appointment. Yep. So let's just kind of dive into
first
your
off,
process.
James, real quick. Yeah. You haven't mentioned my presidential atmosphere here. I mean, come on. I thought this would be the first thing you would say. I got the flags and the screen. I look like I'm at the White House or something.
Yeah, where are you?
In my building, we have really amazing conference rooms. And this is the 80-person conference room I'm in now because this was what was available. And this is actually where we hold our boot camps and as well. But this is where governor does his speeches and stuff in this giant room. And so you'll see his press conferences occasionally, and it's right here. So I don't know. Just thought
So which governors have been in that room?
I don't know. The last one I saw was the previous governor. I forget his name. I forget. That's the last one I saw. I was actually in here when he had his press conference for whatever. It was a few years ago. So whatever. I don't know all that information. So, okay.
Yeah, that's funny. I get in trouble with I get so locked and focused in. I don't notice.
Well, you got garage door openings, minivans, children,
Yeah, it's probably driving everybody on the call crazy. I don't even notice it.
You got a pretty good backdrop yourself, So
yeah.
All right.
So well, let's so let's get into it. So let's just assume you already have the appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And do you try and go on every appointment, or do you just kind of that you get? Do you do any filtering on the phone and kind of cherry pick what appointments? What's your process there?
Yeah, part of my system is I qualify the lead first. So I have a lead sheet like most people do, right? With beds and baths and repairs needed and how long they live there and mortgage balance and why do they want to move. I have that sheet, right? And when I first started, I would just go down that sheet like a robot, right? Because that's just what I had to learn. And as I got better, I got to be able to actually have conversations to where I didn't have to ask those questions and I could still get the information. So I qualify the lead, but I don't but the key is not to qualify, not for them to know you're qualifying them, right? For them just to feel like you're having a conversation. This is just a conversation with a friend. And so I teach my guys and to be able to draw that information out. You're still filling out your lead sheet, but it's better to be like, gosh, hey, how are you? Oh, I know that area. That is, I've been over there. We've bought houses there. I have a friend that lived there, whatever you can to relate. Nice neighborhood. Ideally, what are you looking to do? Obviously you want to sell, but, and I just try to engage and then hit on points throughout their conversation. Oh, wow. So you've been there 25 years. Hey, instead of going, how old's the kitchen? How old's the floor? How old's the roof? Or when was there last a new roof? And I'd be like, oh, 25 years. Well, you probably replaced that kitchen at least once by now, right? Oh, no, it's the original. Or, yeah, actually, we did 2 years ago. And then they're telling you, oh, yeah, we got new appliances. And you're just trying to keep up. That's what we do to qualify. Okay, I don't know if I'm answering the right question here, but that's what I do to qualify. At the same time, we will, and at the same time we're doing that, if I'm my people or myself, I'm online and I'm looking up their property on Zillow just to get a base idea. So I already have a base idea of what that house is worth. And by talking to them, I get as much information as possible, determine my repairs based off of what they're saying, right? Because if you have a repair sheet, you don't have to know how to repair a property. You can ballpark, come up with an idea like, yeah, this could be a deal. I need to go to set an appointment, or, this deal is so tight or upside down that I'm going to have to test the waters here and give and maybe throw a range out or a number and see how they react. A number that might be lower than what they're asking for, because I know it's not a deal, no way, it's what they're saying, but let's test them out to see how firm they are on it. So I might throw something out, just a teaser, see how they react before I go on my appointment.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's how you kind of qualify and filter it. So, okay. So now you are going to the appointment. Do you do any prep work before you go on the appointment? What do you do?
Yes. So I have my information filled out on my lead sheet. I know the basic of what it's worth just from comping it out on the initial process that I go through while we're on the phone. Then I just go to a next step of verifying my assumptions, right? And in my case, I have access to the MLS, even though I will argue that there's a good argument that Zillow is just as valuable as MLS or one of the other Redfins or whatever people use. I use Zillow because it's easy. It can be just as valuable, if not more valuable, than the MLS, because in Zillow, you get all the off-market sales too. Where in the MLS, you only get the on-market sales. So I will comp my properties in a perfect world, whether it be from Zillow or the MLS or a combo of the two. I will have 3 highs and 3 lows in my package, right? And I will verify all my information. And if I can do a desktop evaluation, which is what I call what we're doing at this point, right? Because everything's on our desktop of our computer. I'm doing a desktop eval of a property, and I can trying to eliminate it. I can't eliminate it. Like, this looks like it could be a deal. I did everything I could to try to disprove this. Then I'm ready to go on the appointment. Now that's kind of phase 1 for us. Phase 2 is when we drive our comps and do another layer of evaluation before we even go in on the appointment. And there's a process to that. I kind of have it all, little system built for people for my office and anyone that I train to kind of follow it step by step. Now, do you want me to talk about the pre-appointment evaluation?
Yeah. Why don't you get a little bit more detail? So when you're driving the other houses, what are you just kind of verifying location and street, or like or condition of the house? Like, what are you doing?
I'm compartmentalized, man. That's just how my brain works. So I made it through my desktop evaluation. which is really easy, guys. Don't let, the way I talk about it make it feel hard. You're gathering the information. It's a deal or it's not a deal, right? You're getting on Zillow. You're okay. This house is worth roughly 150. Roughly, could be a little more, could be a little less. But I have a baseline. Then you're looking at the solds. Okay, yeah, there's, I'm right there. It compares. All right, good. Pass that step, right? Okay, she says it's all updated. Well, I'm going to put 10,000 repairs on it no matter what, because every house needs that. Or it hasn't been updated in 25 years. Okay, this thing needs a full renovation. What have I been taught that's going to cost me? Take that off. You're there. Now, I'm on doing my pre-appointment evaluation, my on-site evaluation. Now I am going to drive by each property, and this is a whole new step for me at this point, right? I don't want to be affected by anything else. So I've washed everything out of my brain, and I have a package of properties that I'm going to drive by to put eyeballs on. And now I'm going to let it pass the eyeball test. And this is just as easy as the other. I mean, I've had guys I had a salesman that came over from India and lived here selling cars for a few years. He's 26 years old, had broken English, super smart kid, great guy. I found him. He was a car dealer. They were selling cars in the U.S., trying to get his citizenship. Took him and gave him a place to live, because he was in Springfield, Missouri, brought him to St. Louis. Within 6 weeks, he was out on his own. In the first 6 months, he brought in 92 grand. And he spoke broken English. But what I tell him is trust your common sense. This is not as hard as you think. Especially in this area, when you're driving by a property and you look at it, and and it's got great curb appeal, and you're like, this is a good looking house. And you look at that comp, and you're like, this is my high comp, 150, right? You go drive by your house, and you're like, man, mine backs to a highway. I couldn't tell that on paper. Mine backs to a highway. Mine has a cliff in the backyard. This sits weird. This is just, can I, trust that? Okay, I gotta take some money off of mine, because the $150,000 comp, now that I'm here, has this wonderful curb appeal. And now, trust that. Or you go to your house and you see this shell of a house that has a big backyard. It's placed at a really good place in the neighborhood, but everything's overgrown. But you have a little vision and say, if I cleaned all this up and and landscaped it and put some siding on the outside, it would look exactly like my high comp. Trust that. Put that number on it of your high comp. That's the eyeball test, man. We know we can all go look at cars. And if you want a Chevy truck, it's white and it's a 2016, you go look at 3 of them. There's going to be one that's nicer than the other 2, and
I love it. I love that. I mean, we tend to think that success, or that this thing is this big complicated thing. I know I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
And it's truly simple. It feels like you're really looking at those other houses the way a retail buyer would.
Absolutely.
Like an end buyer that's looking for a home that they want to buy and, bring their kids into. Like, how are they looking at this compared to the property you're getting ready to negotiate on?
Yeah. There's 2 worlds. The world I came from was retail. What gave me the confidence to become an investor was that I had worked with so many buyers and I knew what they wanted, right? I knew what a buyer wanted. I could walk. I got to the point as a realtor where I'd say, tell me what you want. And then I would take what they want and I would pull up everything closest to it, and I would look at them by myself, and I would narrow them down to 2 or 3, and then I'd show them and I'd sell them a house. That way, I'd rather look at 10 houses by myself than 10 with a family in the backseat, right? And waste my time, clutter their mind with all these different choices. So I would just narrow them down. So I brought that over into the investment world, and that's what gave me the confidence. And the year 2000, I'm grandpa, but to start going, that house could look like something any of my buyers would want. And I would buy, and people would be like, that thing is disgusting. That is ugly. And I'd be like, no, watch. And I'd make it look exactly how I knew they wanted. And anyone can do that. Just take your comps. If you got your high comp, we tend to think, us investors, right, that come from other professions, we think with numbers, we think margins, we think everything on paper. But we have to, like I said, compartmentalize each process. When you're going on your appointment, you got to drive that before. When you do your pre-appointment evaluation, your on-site evaluation, now you're looking at it as a buyer. You already have your numbers worked out, dude. It's done. You got to look at it like a buyer and then trim up a little. So when you go in the door, you're so confident you can leave an offer every time, and you're not one of the guys that says, let me get back with you in a couple of days after I do some, crunch some numbers. That guy generally, to me, is scared. And he isn't prepared, because he's got to go, okay, now that I've seen it, I'm going to do another layer of evaluation here to make sure I'm not getting screwed, or I don't pay too much, or or they want to see what everyone else is going to offer to see if they can give $1 more, because if everyone else is offering around where they are, then that means they must think it's a good deal too. So then I'm confident buying it, or whatever. The way I teach my guys, like I said, I put Shaheen on the streets in 6 weeks by himself, and I told him, step 1, 2, 3, 4, leave an offer. Period. End of story. The guy didn't know what soffit and facial was. He didn't know. He grew up in Delhi, in the New Delhi, in the capital of India, and he tells me stories about his house. I won't spend a long time on this. So give me 1 minute, 2 minutes, tell the story. It's a great one. Houses are made of concrete in the middle of the city. So you go through these gates to go into all houses are perimetered. The tops of the walls have shard glass in them in the concrete, so no one can climb over. They have a dog handler that handles the 3 pit or like giant dogs, whatever they are down below, that are only allowed out at night because they will bite you, even your homeowners. Right? So he lived with his grandma, his grandpa, his aunt, and his uncles, and everyone. They all lived together. To bring him here, teach him this process, and he goes out and can evaluate a property and repairs. It's easy. So he used my test case, and anyone can do this if you just one step at a time and don't overthink it. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to. It's really simple, and trust yourself. Trust the process.
Okay, cool. So you've done the drive-bys, and now you are pulling up to the house for the appointment. So take me into that.
I pull up to the appointment. I'm in front of the house. I'm looking at it. I've already driven by my house and then driven by my comps and decided which one of my comps it really matches up with, honestly. Then I get there and I pull out. I have my comps, I have my lead sheet, and I've got my repair sheet that I'm going to use inside the house. Then I do my last evaluation for my ARV, right? So let's say I pegged this as a 150 ARV before I left the office. Generally, we're pretty close, right? We might get there and be like, wow, man, I'm so glad I do drive-bys, because I would have paid too much for this house. I had no idea this was going on in the area or whatnot. I went to one in Fenton a couple weeks ago. It backed up to the highway, which it was the only house backed up to the highway. So all my desktop evaluation was off because the other houses had nice big backyards. So you pull up, I do.
Real quick, sorry. So out of the 3 highs and 3 lows, you're driving by all of those. Does that take you about, yeah, or 2 highs, 2 lows, just depending on the property.
Yep.
How much time do you normally? Is that like a 20-minute thing?
30 minutes. I tell everybody, get to the area 30 minutes early. Worst case scenario, you got 15 minutes to burn. And get your stuff in order. Preparation's half the battle. Like in fighting. Right? Just as an example, the sport of fighting. The biggest fear a fighter has is gassing out. It's not about can he punch, can he kick, he's gassing out. Because 90% of it is cardio preparation. So all their preparation is put in place. Same here. So if you're it's preparation, man, and it's worth it. You go unprepared, the seller feels it. They feel confident with you. They start comparing you to anyone else that came in. You're generally 90% of the time going to be more put off a better, professionalism and confidence than anyone else. Get a better chance of getting it. So you're there early. You're driving them. You are redoing your numbers based off of what you just saw, and then you're going to knock on the door. Now, getting ready to the next part of the evaluation on the inside is walking the property and filling out your repair sheet to fine tune your numbers so that you can come up with your offer. So as far as eval goes, that's my, on the number side, that's my whole evaluation process right there. Now, there's lots of tricks and tips in the middle of that and a process, but that's the overview of it. The rest is communicating with the seller and building trust, and this is when that starts.
Okay. So you knock on the door. Ideally you're already there 15 minutes early, and so then you take about 5-10 minutes just to make sure you're comfortable with your final ARV.
Yep.
And then you go up to the appointment, knock on the door, and okay, now what happens?
So I have, every part of this process, and in my training and how I teach my guys, we spend a lot of time on the call. And so every part of the process, we open up I call it a transition agreement. We're transitioning from one part of the process to the next. So when we got off that call, I told them what was going to happen when I get there. And when I get there, I tell them again what's getting ready to happen. So they're fully aware of what's going on, and they're not sitting there guessing all tight, wondering when we're going to try to steal their house, when we're going to put the magic salesman hook out there and steal all their equity and leave them with nothing, right? Because generally they're scared of us. Like, you pick up your phone and it's a telemarketer on there. You're like, oh God, how did I pick this up? How do I get off of here?
Do you remind them of what you said at the end of the last call too?
Yeah, well, let me start from here and I'll get to that. So I'm at the front door. Hi, hello, Mr. Seller. Most of the time they answer, hey, yeah, come on in. I stop before I even go in the house. Hey, Mr. Seller, like we said on the phone, I'm going to need 20 to 30 minutes to walk around your house. I'm going to ask you some questions about that property, maybe repairs, updates, any things like that. And I might ask you some questions about your situation. And at the end, if it's a fit for me, I'll make you a cash offer. And if it sounds fair to you, awesome. And I can give you something in writing today. But if not, for any reason, no is always okay. Give them the permission to say no and let them know what every step of the process is going to look like. The goal is this whole process is to get them to put their guard down, right? And I have scripts and things like that, and there's a little bit of a process to it, but this is the overview of it, Basically, I'm giving you next steps, what's going to happen, what the end result will be, and no is okay. Right? Most of the time, they're okay, comfortable. You can see a little bit of more of an ease come over them. It's kind of like going to the car salesman. You don't know what's going to happen. They're going to put you in the cubicle and leave 100 times, go back and forth. What are they saying back there? How long are they going to keep me? How the hell do I get out of here? It's like they know it's going to be 20 to 30 minutes, and they know exactly what I'm going to do, and they know what the end result will be. So a lot of times I can get in that front door, and I've already got a little bit of trust built, and I've gotten their guard down. Now, if I did a really good job, followed the script, went through the process on the call, I've already got a little rapport built, right? So I've already got a little rapport. Now, you lose a lot of that between the call and the appointment. I don't care if it's an hour later or 2 days later. They armor back up, right? They get prepared for the guy that's going to come over to try to because they want as much money as they can as well. And so I'm always starting that process over again, right? So that's the same thing I say at the end of the call. Hey, and I don't take the calls anymore. So they'll set up, well, Jeff's going to come out. He's going to, he'd probably be there 25, 30 minutes at the most, ask you some questions. At the end, he can make you an offer. If you like it, great. If not, no, it's okay. Great. Okay. See you at 3 tomorrow. And then when I get there, I go through it again. Okay. So, I get in the door. It's similar to the call, your lead sheet. I'm not going to go in and go, okay, great. Oh, the carpet. Now that I can see things, right? On the call, I'm trying to get them to give me information. Now that I'm there, I can see things. So I'm not going to go, oh, wow, that carpet, how old is that carpet? Oh, I thought you said it was this old. Oh, it looks older than that. Or, you had said the bathroom was updated. Well, it was updated, but it was, maybe it was 12 years ago and not 2, whatever,
In the 1970s, it was updated. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I try to do the same thing as the script. I go in and I just try to have a dang conversation.
Hey guys, just wanted to let you know that we're launching a free Facebook group to continue the conversation about this episode or really anything and everything else that's on your mind. We're calling it Doors to Deals, and we'll have access to the Facebook group on our website, doorstodeals.com. You can also find it on Facebook as well. Doors to Deals is the name of the Facebook group. So if you want to continue the conversation, connect and meet people and help us launch this thing, please join the group. I'd love to have you on it, and look forward to kind of seeing you online on Facebook. Thanks, guys.
I try to do the same thing as the script. I go in and I just try to have a dang conversation. And there's some things that I say that we don't have time to get into. I mean, I teach this over 16 hours, in our boot camp generally at 16 hours live. And so there's lots of stuff in it. Trying to condense it in an hour, I kind of got to give the overviews. But so we go through and I start to just really have those conversations and get their guard down more and more and more. Oh, great. Oh, man, how long you been here? So I don't want to skip over, building that trust and rapport, right? So honestly, when I start my conversation to where I'm really trying to get more information out of them in a more of a fluid way than acting like a robot and going down a script or memorized questions I have that I know I need to know, I'm really looking at their pictures. What kind of dog do they have? What can I relate with here? What can I build rapport with, right? I'm not like going and staring at their pictures like so they can see me just looking at their pictures, but I'm observing everything I can and trying to take it in because that's what I want to talk about. The house stuff will come out. I need to build trust with them for a little while before I can ask the hard questions, right? There's different styles of sales. And one style of sales is going in and beating the house up and making that seller feel like if they don't sell it to you, then they're going to get stuck with it forever because it's a big piece of crap. Like, oh my God, look at that carpet. Oh man, you didn't tell me about this. Oh, no one's going to buy it with a foundation crack. Things like that. People today tend not to like that anymore. They can, the world has changed. Everyone has options. And so I've been in the nastiest, dirtiest houses, and I've never told any of them they're nasty or dirty, right? Most of the time they'll tell me, but I will say, you know what? It's got good bones. A lot can be done with this. Yeah, it needs some work, but hey, I've been in worse. So I'm looking at pictures. Wow, you had who's the hockey player? Yeah, my kid played hockey, and I spent a lot of time at the rink. It's a ton of fun, wasn't it? It was a great experience. I try to get in to build rapport. It's like I'm making a friend. We have to get our minds off the salesman thing, and we have to get ourselves off the salesman radar with our seller, right? Some of the little things I try to get people to remember is all problems are common and they're never their fault. right? If you can remember that, all problems are common and it's never their fault. Meaning, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that, I'm really sorry, to hear about your divorce. It sounds like you're probably going to be better off. Honestly, I go to a lot of people's houses that are in divorce. It's an unfortunate part of that process, having to lose a home. I'm really sorry about that. It's super common, right? Because they all have problems on the houses we go to. So you want them to feel comfortable. You don't want them to feel like they're already nervous. They already probably have been putting off someone coming over for a long time for whatever reason. They're hoarders, their house is dirty, they're busy, they're whatever. They don't want people to see it. So you go in, tell them how common it is. You see it all the time. Most of the time that drops away. You just remove another layer of armor, right?
Yeah, and you're building trust in that you've seen
Yep.
these problems before and you've helped people with these problems before. Yeah, I like
Absolutely. Totally, 100%. They feel, you can just see them get a little more comfortable. And it's never their fault, okay? No matter how absurd their problem might be, it's never their fault, right? You have to remember that, no matter what it is. I've been through some, oh man, that's not your fault. And you can tell some people, like I've been in some guys' houses that are getting divorced and they are bashing their wives. And I can say unequivocally, their wives are better off for not being with them. You know what I mean? By like, I can, but it's like, yeah, man, I've been through something similar to that. You're way better off. You don't need her. It's not your fault, man. You're going to get a good fresh start and start over. It's just all their problems are common and they're never their fault. Okay. That's how you're going to build trust. It just is what it is. So a lot of times they'll open up and you can ask those harder questions. Hey, we talked on the phone. You weren't real comfortable with telling me how much you owed, but it really does help me determine how I design your offer, because sometimes people are upside down. That you're probably not, but maybe, okay, well, I owe 62, right? You can ask those harder questions once you have rapport built. And so it's really key, I'm observing, see if there's anything I can relate to. And just so the people on this call know, it's something that comes up a lot when I talk. The people that were coming to the boot camp or in the boot camp, they feel like they have to be a born salesman. And my experience is the more introverted type of person, which is not me, obviously, but the more introverted type of person tends to have as much, if not more, success with this process, because it's a process. And a lot of the more analytical type people that are introverted will go through the steps every time the same way, and they will get the same results every time. To where guys like me, I'll divert off the trail. I'll get caught chasing a rabbit. I will improvise. I will overtalk. And so it actually can be a detriment to be more of your extroverted type of salesman that it traditionally people think of. So if you're on this and you're like, gosh, how do I do that? Look, if you can follow a process in steps, you're going to kill it. And like I said, I've found my best when we started this, when I actually put together a program for myself and my team to grow it, to be able to handle that volume. The best person on the phone was Katie. Katie, I've been telling people, I introduce her as Katie. Don't mind her. She's on a word diet because she just does not like to talk, right? She is the quietest person ever. But she would take that script and she would read it exactly how, because we got it written out on how to do this. She would read that script perfectly every time and never change a word, to where my salesman I'd bring in off the streets would be improvising, thrown in. They thought, well, I don't need to say that paragraph because I can say it better, and they wouldn't have the same results.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're at this point, so let's go back to the appointment. So you're 30 minutes in at this point, building rapport. Okay. And let's kind of dive into what happens next.
Okay. Then I start, when I feel like I have some rapport built. So I'm blending building rapport and getting information. I might at some point in that time frame drop some kind of an anchor, which an anchor will be a price, generally a lower price than what they're wanting, just to get their mind to start thinking about can they take your offer? Usually they say the person who drops the anchor last wins. And what I mean and how that operates is like this. When you're on the phone and they say, well, we got your postcard. We found you on the internet. A friend referred me to you. We want to sell our house. We're thinking about going as is, but we won't take a penny under 100. Psychologically, you're trying to find ways through that whole conversation and your evals get to as close to 100 as possible to make that deal. It's just how we operate. I don't care who you are. And so at some point, sometimes on the call, sometimes on the appointment, I will drop my anchor, right, to get them to do the same thing. So if I know I'm going to be in that 70 to 80 range and they want 100, I might drop an anchor of, I go very uncomfortable. It's just kind of another trick and part of the process. I mean, I really feel uncomfortable even telling you what we usually buy these houses for over here. And don't be mad at me, and yours just might be it's probably worth a little more because it's nicer or it's this or it's that. But I will we're generally like 60 to 65. I will go even lower than what I can offer. If you drop an anchor at the price you can pay, you're screwing yourself because you're gonna have to go higher from that point. So I go lower to get the reaction. And if you've built trust and rapport with them and you're off that salesman radar, you drop that anchor most of the time and you go uncomfortable, they're not going to be mad at you. 90% of the time, if you go uncomfortable, you're more uncomfortable saying the number than they are hearing it, then they're going to try to save you. Oh, don't feel bad, man. I know it's just business. That's okay. I was expecting it to be lower anyway. That's what you're hoping for, right? And that's most of the time what you'll get. Now, if you get a hard no there, you got to know, man. You're better to know it now than later. But most of the time, you'll get the real number out of them, or it's at least a start. Now in their brain, they're starting to go, do I really need 100? I think if I could get away with 85, I bet. I think I could come down to 85. They're in their mind. Now they're trying to come to your number, right? In your back pocket, you can go 70 to 80, right? You drop that anchor lower so that if later on in the process, when you really feel you have the utmost trust and you have all your repair numbers down, because I'm making notes on my repair sheet that, that I can, total up at the end and take my pre-appointment evaluation where I've come up with a firm, hard, super confident ARV. And then I can start running my numbers at the end of that appointment to make my final offer. I'm not making my offer until I have trust, 100% trust. And it starts with dropping that anchor. Now,
so hold on 1 second. So the anchor could be 10 minutes into the appointment. It could be 30 minutes, and just it's a feel that you have for when rapport is getting built up and when it's kind of the natural part of the conversation.
Yep.
And you've already done the homework with the ARV. So you may not have looked at the whole house yet, but you just kind of know based on what your guess is that your repairs were right on what you thought or not.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you are. It's a gut thing there, and it's a natural part of the conversation. You need trust before you talk about numbers in any way, shape, or form, or you're dead. You're going to get I'll think about it. I'll call you back. I'm going to think about it every time. There's no way around it. Okay. You have to have trust. So once you have trust, like you had asked, what we're building rapport, we're into the appointment. What do we do? What's some of the next steps? And that's one of them. And a lot of times if it makes them uncomfortable or we're real far off, I will dive back into rapport building. I don't want to stay on that long. I want to get them mentally out of that place. If they're like, oh, well, that's way too low, man. Jesus. The truth is I owe 82. A lot of times you'll get real information too through this process that they wouldn't give you before. So I'm dropping an anchor. I'm still building rapport. Then I start getting into kind of pain and pleasure. So I know I have an idea on why they want to sell, or I have an idea on what's making them sell, their real motivation or their real preference, right? A lot of these people, when you get into, and they'll tell you one thing. Oh, well, I don't have to move. We just want the most money we can get. And then you find out that they're in a divorce and the judge has a date ordered. They have to have the household by, and it's 3 weeks away. So really, yeah, they want money, but their real motivation is they have a court order and they're running out of time, right? So as you build rapport, as you talk about, you find these pain points, and then a lot of times you'll get, when you get the truth, you'll find out what they truly want to do. Well, and the truth is I just want to I want to move to Florida. My mom's there. She's older. She's going to help me out. So boom, now I know they have a court order to get out and they want to go to Florida. Two separate things that I can start talking about. God, what is it going to be like to live in Florida? Man, what's it going to mean for your bank account when you're done with this divorce and mom's helping you out? Wow, what's that going to look like? Man, lots of girls down there. It'd be a great place to start over. Man, it's super common that I'm in these houses and people are getting divorces, but not everyone has an opportunity like you do. Wow. Gosh, if you don't get that 100 that you're wanting, which we know they're not, what are you going to do? What happens if you don't make the court order? You can start in a friendly conversation talking about the realities and pains of their life and the pleasures of what this is going to bring, and get them in that psychological place to where they're like, you know what, let's do this. You know what? Look, if I could, then I'm thinking, when do I present? I have their utmost trust. They're telling me everything. I'm off the salesman radar. We are friends. When do I present? Okay, well, those things have to be met. I have to build rapport. I have to have their trust. I have to have undug and gone as deep as I can into their real motivations and preferences. Then I can make the offer. Okay, well, like I told you, Mr. Seller, most of the time, dude, we're at like 65. I was thinking maybe I could raise you as much as 10 grand and come up to like 75, but then you just let me know you knew you owed 82. Or would you, even if I could give you 82, would you even be able to get to Florida? Because it ain't going to leave you any money. Well, man, if you'd come to 82, I'd do the deal because mom's going to pay for blah, blah, blah. And I'd just get rid of this house. And I got that court coming up, and you're right. They're going to kick me out on the street, and I'm not even going to get to take my stuff with me. Okay, cool. Let's go with 82. Now, that's perfect case scenario and saying that I can even go to 82. But you're following me, right? So
like logistically, you've done the anchor. Now you've gone through and you have just sounds like you just pen and paper. You have a repair sheet or like a tablet where you're filling it.
Exactly.
Do you tell the homeowner, hey, hold on, can you give me 5 minutes so I can calculate these repairs, or what do you do?
Good question. Yeah. Well, a lot of times what I'll do is I want to get to the kitchen table or a table where we can sit. And I will say, hey, is there a place that we can sit down and I can crunch some numbers really fast and look at my comps again? And generally and they'll generally, here, you take that seat, I'll take this one. You can take your time, run your numbers, get everything ready, right? And they're there with you so you can pick that conversation back up again. But that is at the point that I said that you feel like you have the trust and you feel like you have all the information that you need from them. So I'm giving you guys a lot of stuff here, that, like I said, I usually teach over 2 days. So an overview of the process of those steps are desktop evaluation, number 1. Number 2, call with the seller and desktop evaluation. They're all kind of packed into one. Step 2, pre-appointment or on-site evaluation, where you're driving your comps and you're reevaluating your numbers. 3, transition agreement in the house. 4, building rapport and uncovering right? Going deep, collecting information. Step 4 is presenting your offer, or 5, presenting your offer, right? So I'm giving you a lot. Now there's tips and tricks, and I've got like 20 to 30, I think it's actually 28, questions that you can ask, rapport building questions, impact questions, ways to present anchors, all these different, steps. Well, that was a quick trip to the grocery store, man.
You're back.
to make it a little easier, but those are the steps. And since while we're muted, while they're unpacking the groceries, I'll take this time to freelance a little. I tell new people this all the time, and I tell people with experience, there is no better skill that you can have that will pay you more money than communication or negotiating with sellers. There's nothing in the process that will pay you more for your time than this part. And the reason I say that is I just cut my budget to 1/3, and I'm going to bring in more money because I'm spending more time on the skill that has the highest return, right? You can spend all the money you want in marketing, but if you can't convert the call to an appointment, or you can't convert the appointment to a contract, who cares? Would you rather have 10 great leads and not close any of them, or one that you make 15 grand on, right? So the point that I'm making there is marketing. Oh, I want to train to be a great rehabber. I want to train to be a great landlord. I want to train to be this. All those exit strategies don't mean anything if you can't buy it. And what I also try to beat into people's brains in my boot camps and podcasts and anywhere is be an acquisitionist. Don't be a rehabber. Don't be a wholesaler. Don't be a landlord. Be a real estate acquisitions expert. Because if you can buy everything at the lowest price, you can do any of those exit strategies. They're all open to you, right? You want to build a rental portfolio, you got 10 houses, you run across one, you think to yourself, you got it under contract. I have 3 under construction, or I have 2 under construction, or I have 3 that are vacant that I'm looking for landlords. Do I really want to add another one right now? You know what? No, I think I'll just wholesale it out and make 10 grand because I bought it so cheap that you have the option to do that anytime you want. Or you think, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and keep it. I don't want to give away money. So I'm going to rehab it, and then I'm going to sell it on the market and make 25, right? The reason I say this, and I'll be done in about 30 seconds, Jim, you can jump back and get me back on track, is I see these guys are like, I want to be a landlord. And so they have a landlord formula in their brain. Well, I can pay up to this percentage. I can pay 82% for things because I can still cash flow in that 82%. Well, guess what? You can cash flow at 70, 75, 65% as well. As a matter of fact, you cash flow a hell of a lot better, and you got more options with that property if something changes. So this is the highest ROI you will get on your time is learning this skill. Would you kind of agree with me, Jim?
It's critical. Yeah. I mean, It's being able to do this and connect with the homeowner is absolutely, absolutely imperative. There's no question about that. Guys, if you have any questions, we're kind of getting on time a little bit. We started a little bit late. Jeff, I think you're okay with going a little bit over.
I can go over if that's okay with you guys.
So if you guys have questions, start chatting them away. I do have one question for you. So if multiple parties are involved, do you go through the same process and just do offer on the spot, or do you ever try and play games where you're the last offer or the first offer, or how do you handle when you know other investors are there?
That is a debate that goes back 1,000 years. Do you want to be the first, or do you want to be the last? I have always went with I want to be the first, because I have a first shot, first opportunity to work that process, build trust, build rapport, and get my offer signed. I feel like I've made more money being first and getting the opportunity to get them locked up before anyone else can even have a chance than I have being last, to where generally, no matter how much rapport I build, if they have an offer in their pocket for 90, I can't buy that house for 80. I have occasionally, because I have in the cases where they don't like the other people, like the other acquisitions guys, they just like their dollar amount. So they're going to go with them to get the money. And then I come in and build so much trust that they're afraid that that other guy won't close because he's a sleazeball. And so they go with my lower offer anyway. But that's rare. And the truth is if I can get them off the table, get them done before anyone else comes in, I have a way better chance and I make more money. If I can't get it signed and they have more people coming, I tell them I can't leave offers behind, and then good luck to them. That I must not be a fit. Now, doing that doesn't mean I can't follow up. There's no difference. If you're leaving without a contract because the seller said, okay, I have your number, I'll let you know if anyone else can beat it, or you leave with no contract because you just walked and didn't told them you weren't going to compete, it's the same thing. You have no house, right? Both instances, you leave with a no. I'd rather leave with a no, not having given them an offer that gives me another opportunity to follow up in a day or two, to say, hey, I know I told you it was only that I could only give you an offer on the spot, but a couple of deals fell through. How you doing? Have you sold your house yet? How was the meeting with your guys? You know, maybe I can reinitiate that and get back in there. I like being first, to answer the question.
Okay. And then, so when you present the actual offer, let's take away the multiple offers again. So when you present it, you start with verbal again, like you have a written contract and you're like on you, right?
Yeah,
but
of course.
You just present it verbally and say, hey, I know I told you 65, I can actually go up to 80. And then that's when a negotiation kind of back and forth happens. Is that a good summation of that?
Yes. Yep. I've dropped the anchor. Sometimes the anchor might be there at the table, when we've sat down, but a lot of times I've tested this some point. And yeah, I can go to this, the guy that owes 82, that's easy because I'm going to give him what he owes. This is what I'm going to try. But let's say he owed 70. It could be a different conversation. Let's say he owes 70 and I know, same scenario. He told me along the way he owes 70. I had already dropped an anchor of 60 to 65. It makes him spit out, well, hell, I can't do that. I owe 70. Okay, good to know. Now we're up here and I could say something like, what if I could pay your mortgage off? What if I could get it to 70? Would that even make any sense? No, I have to have $5,000. Mom's going to give me 5 if I put in 5, and so I need 5. Okay, so 75. Wow, man. I'm just trying to get as much out of them as possible. But at that point, that's when I would make my final offer. And if I know it's competitive and he has other people, I might say, I don't leave offers. I can make you one right now. I can make you my best offer. And if you don't want it and no is your answer, that's okay. Like I told you in the beginning, but I go on a lot of appointments and I won't be able to honor this tomorrow because I don't know what I'm going to buy later today. So you owe 70. Most of the time I only pay 65 at a max over here, but I really like this house and I want to help you. I'll pay 80 right now, and that's it. And try to blow them away with a number that they didn't think they were going to get. They thought I was going to keep lowballing them. Does that make sense? I mean, we're getting into a lot of like tactics and advanced stuff here, and I'm worried that we're kind of scaring anyone that could be on the call that's kind of new, but because we're getting into a little bit of advanced stuff. But at that point, the goal is to have an idea of what they want and make your best offer without giving everything away right out of the gate.
So do you think that there's any, so again, guys, the chat box is open for you all. Do you think there's any like limiting beliefs or any kind of insecurities about making an offer in person from newer investors? Like, what do you see there?
Yeah, I think the whole point of that preparation part, a lot of seller negotiating or a lot of appointment training doesn't talk anything about evaluation. I do a lot because I feel like the more prepared you are, the more confident you are, and it takes away some of those limiting beliefs of I'm missing something here. I'm missing a big repair that is going to cost me. I'm over evaluating this house because I need to go back and do some more research, or they might be afraid to be the first one to leave an offer because maybe they're going to pay more than anyone else would. And if they wait till the end, they can find out what everyone else is paying and just pay a little more so they feel more confident that like their herd was on the same page as them, so they can't make a mistake. So the whole point is to get you the confidence to make an offer on the spot and get those limiting beliefs out that you don't know enough, that you're not prepared, you could be missing something. There's a list of fear that can run through your mind on those points. Another point is that's what the transition agreements are for too, is you're at the front door. You're completely as prepared as any other investor in the world could possibly be, no matter how much time they have, if you follow this process. Probably more prepared than 90% of the rest of the people that are going to walk in the door. And then you walk to the door. You're nervous. Those things are going through your mind. He's going to know I'm new. The guy, Jeff Garner was probably in here before I was, and there's no way I could compete with that guy. Or Jim was there, or I don't know anything about rehabs. I've never rehabbed a house in my life. I'm supposed to fill this sheet out and trust it. Oh my God. Or these people aren't going to like me, or they're going to be mean, or it's going to be creepy, or there's big dogs or whatever. Then I stop. Hey guys, just to let you know, this usually takes 25, 30 minutes. We're going to walk through your house. I'll probably ask you some questions about the property and your situation. Then at the end, if it's a fit, I'll make you an offer. If that works, great. If not, no's okay. Is that okay? Then they give you permission. And just as much as it diffuses their nerves as it diffuses ours, it kind of has the same effect on you as a salesman. And I need that sometimes. No matter how much experience I have, those, like you said, those limiting beliefs can come in. Man, this lady, this girl's probably not even ready. She's not even motivated, or she's not, it's something's going to go wrong, or I don't know. They're not going to like me. I don't have my long sleeve shirt and they're going to judge me because I have tattoos, something, right? And then I stop. I get permission to do everything I need to do. They just give me permission to ask questions, tour the house. If I like it, make an offer. If I don't like it, I'm not making you an offer because it doesn't fit. And if you don't like it, you can say no. So it diffuses you and really helps cut those nerves down.
Guys, for this particular show, go to doors2deals.com/025. You're going to find all sorts of useful information in there, including a YouTube video replay, show notes, links to other great resources. So make sure you check out our website on doors2deals.com/025. So that's a wrap. Go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Take care till next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock Doors to Deals, check out our website, doors2deals.com.